it gives me indigestion. It makes me upset. It stresses me out. Yesterday it was a rocket ship, up and down and up and down. I guess it settled about 70, 75 points on the plus side. But look, if you're investing in these things, don't look. You'll get premature gray hair or something like that. Terry Sawchuk joining me now to discuss what's going on. Feds raised the rates. Banks are teetering on failure, and the stock market's all over the place. Other than that, Terry, it's been a pretty quiet week.
Well, Steve, you've just described the basic tenets of a typical, what we'll call a slowdown, where you have these higher interest rates and the economy starts to really take it on the chin. I mean, this is a classic credit crisis.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of these banks, here's what the problem is. SVB fails out there in Silicon Valley, and we decide to bail them out, no matter what Joe Biden and his buddies say. We bailed that bank out. Other banks are bailing out other banks. USB is bailing out Credit Suisse, and these things are going on. And the banks who are actually doing things properly, regional, mid-sized banks, also they're having some trouble because people are taking out tons, billions of dollars, transferring it to the giant banks. And so the mid-sized banks who are actually following proper banking practices and so forth, they're paying a penalty, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult scenario. And, when the Fed started this rate hike regime, they knew eventually they would get to a place where they would start to create some issues. And this happens in, every cycle like this. This is a typical cycle. Although I will tell you, Steve, that we created a bigger bubble over the last few years because of, and I've said this over and over, but the stupid policies to shut the entire world economy down and then to turn around and dump, $5-6 trillion worth of stimulus and give a bunch of money to people who didn't need it, right? It just created all these asset bubbles. And now we're going the other way. And so it's the regional banks, the biggest challenge, in my opinion, in that space is not just that they're going to lose deposits, but it's also the fact that a lot of the financing that they took out to finance these, or they gave loans to give people to run these commercial enterprises, those all have to be refinanced in the next 2 years. And that is a massive problem because they're going to refinance at rates that are, double, triple, quadruple where they were before. And that's not something that they're going to be able to handle very well.
So what about the suggestion of having no limit on what's protected in deposits? We can't do that, can we?
No, it's not feasible. The reason that they do that is not because they think they're going to have to pay it out. It's because they have to maintain trust in the banking system. We work on a fractional reserve banking system. No bank really has more than 10 or 12% of the money that it needs to return all the deposits to all the depositors. So it's not really an issue unless it is an issue and then everybody wants to take their money out. Again, one of the big problems now, Steve, is that you can take your money out of a bank in a few clicks on your phone or on your computer, right? So that's what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. They lost $40 billion in 2 hours. And that's the trouble. And so they really have to do what they can to assure people that the quote unquote system itself is safe. And that's what's going to prevent the runs. But they're never going to be able to backstop the whole thing.
But the big play, and you and I have talked about this before, the big play, Terry, is to get away from cash and just create digital currency. That way they wouldn't have to print all this stuff. They could just click a switch, click, oh, we have another $1 trillion of American currency in circulation. Oh, click, another $1 trillion. They can just manipulate. Plus, everything that you and I do will be monitored right down to the penny if there's digital currency, which is what they want, right?
Well, newsflash, buddy, it's already there. They already have all that stuff. I mean, everything is digital right now anyway. Nobody uses cash anymore. And
I do.
Okay, well, you're a dinosaur, my friend. But
the
kids these days, right, as they say, they don't even know what cash is. They haven't seen a single dollar bill since the Tooth Fairy gave it to them 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So everything is digital now, and all that data gets captured by the banks and the intermediaries right now. So the Fed probably already has access to that. And one of the things that's really scary about where we're heading right now, okay, is that there's been, and look, the crypto industry is, I mean, FTX is just a perfect example, right? SBF was Bernie Madoff in the crypto business. But what they're doing at the banking level now is they're saying, look, if you're going to take money out and send it to an exchange, we're going to limit the amount of money that you can do that with. And so what concerns me is just that as we push more and more control up to these 5 or 6 big banks, they become, de facto arm of the political apparatus. And as you know, most of that's controlled in Washington, D.C. by the uniparty system that leans left.
Yeah. So, all right. So it's an uncertain future. Where do we go then? I mean, how do we trust in what I'm saving and earning and investing? I mean, a lot of reasons not to trust it. Why should I? Give me something to hang my hat on.
Well, here's the deal, Steve. For now, and I've told you that this was coming, and it's not like it's going to be, we live in a TLDR society, right? So everybody wants it to happen right now and just get it over with, but that's not how it works. These things are going to take months and maybe many months to get through this process. And so that's why we don't have any money in the stock market right now, because even in a 60-40 portfolio, 60% of your money is still likely to take a huge drop over the coming 3, 6, 9, 12 months, maybe longer. This is a prototypical bear market, and this one's going to be worse because when you look at the things that haven't happened yet, the market's already down. If you look at the S&P, it was down 20% last year. The NASDAQ was down over 30%. It's recovered a little bit this year, especially the NASDAQ, but that's right. A counter-cyclical bounce. The direction longer term is going to be down. And when corporate earnings slow down and the recession really kicks in and the Fed gets unemployment, they need to, and they're going to try to kill at least 1 million jobs. Okay. And
or
none
2,
of that's happening.
Or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, easily.
Terry, I got to leave it right there. It's going to be a bumpy ride. You've said it. You've told us. Now we know. Thank you for being here. Terry Sawchuk, Sawchuk Wealth.